Hello and welcome to another edition of the Homeland Garden Show with myself, Paul Gerwin. Today I'm going to show you some examples of the range of bee attractant plants that we have to offer in our Homeland Garden Centres, and I'm going to have a chat to you about how they can benefit your garden through fertilisation and pollination. Bees and other pollinating insects such as hoverflies, etc. are crucial in the gardening environment because they help pollinate plants, and especially with regard to fruit and veg. Without bees and other pollinating insects, we'd be in serious trouble, especially when it comes to food sources. There are a number of ways you can attract bees to your garden, and despite what a lot of people may think, bees are actually quite harmless, unlike wasps, which will just sting you for no reason whatsoever. A bee generally will not sting you unless you actually go near the hive. On the table in front of me is just a small selection of the otherwise huge range of bee attractant plants that we have to offer in our Homeland Garden Centres. These not only will help your pollination and fertilisation of plants, but also make the garden look beautiful because on their own, in their own right, they're actually very beautiful plants, especially when they start flowering. At the front we have an actually very popular plant, and a plant which sometimes goes unnoticed in the garden. They're the arboriaceae. Some people mistake these with campanula because they have a similar kind of foliage and flower, but they're really good plant for rockeries or up high in rocky ledges because they tend to fall down or droop down. They're really good for pots as well. The bees love this plant and this flower, and they're particularly beneficial to the bees themselves for food source because they're very early flowering, and at the start of the year bees have probably run out of their food within their hives, so they're frantically searching for a new food source. So you're actually benefiting the bees by planting these, and the more you plant the better. They're a great plant, they spread really well, and they put on a fantastic floral display. So keep an eye out for rock cress or arboriaceae, and they come in many different colours, with blue being the most popular. Moving on, we have, well, at this time of the year it looks quite small, but we have the cornflower. Many of you have heard of the cornflower. It's actually become quite a rarity, especially in the west of Ireland. So you're actually benefiting the biodiversity by planting this plant. Again, it has a big flower when it does flower, and bees do love it as a food source. So cornflower, you can either get it as a plant or you can get it as seed as well. And the more of these, again, that you plant around the garden, the better, especially if you have a polytunnel. In the polytunnel area, just outside the doors, both doors, front or back, there is one other plant which at this time of the year you can only get it as in the seed version, and that is the cosmos. You can get it as a mixed variety or with specific colours, and cosmos have a really big wide flower that makes it easy for the bees and other pollinating insects to get in at the very centre of the plant, which is the most important part. If you plant cosmos around a glass house or a polytunnel, the bees will be attracted to the cosmos to feed off it, and then they'll actually go into the polytunnel and help fertilise the plants that are within the polytunnel. Out here in the front of the bench are another 3 plants that you can look out for and hopefully plant around the garden, and these are what I call the 3 amigos. This is the black-eyed Susan, the penstemon and the Michaelmas daisies. And if you plant these as a trio or plant them around the garden, as the summer goes on, the flowers they produce are absolutely fantastic, and hoverflies and bees love these plants as a food source. So normally with a lot of these perennials, don't plant just one, plant them in 3s, 5s or 7s. So plant groups of them, and they create a beautiful floral display, and you get that lovely kind of cottage garden effect. And that effect goes for all of these perennial plants. Perennial meaning that they come back every year, annual meaning that they're just 1 year and then that's it. And the beauty of perennials is that as they get bigger, you can actually cut them in half during the winter time and transplant the half that you cut into other areas of the garden. So you can actually reproduce them very easily. To the front we have a couple of my old favourites, and these are the wallflower. They're a fantastic plant. Really nice flower. The bees find it easy to get at the pollen within the flowers, and they're really good, as the name suggests, they're good against a bank or against a wall, and they self-propagate, if you like, so they actually self-seed all around the garden. But again, as they get bigger in the wintertime, it's very easy to divide these and reproduce them in other areas of the garden. So keep a lookout for these wallflowers. The plant that I'm holding in my hand is one of my absolute favourites. It's the Ceanothus repens. I like it because of its foliage. It's a really shiny, small leaf, really dark green foliage, and because of its flower. Its flower is amazing. It's a really deep blue flower. And it's one of the first plants that bees and hoverflies will go for. They seem really attracted to the scent of this plant and the pollen that it produces. It's an evergreen plant, so it'll actually stay green all year round, and it produces this beautiful mound of colour, of blue colour during the summer. You cut it back in the wintertime, and it's a really good kind of centerpiece plant, or plant that you want to plant in a corner of the bed. So if you have a perennial bed, put this in the centre or to either side of that bed, and you can plant the other perennials around it. These are all very easy to plant. They're all either evergreen or perennial, and they really do accentuate the garden. So keep an eye out in the Homeland Garden Centres for the perennial section, and if you have a look at the label, if it has the little bee symbol, they're the ones to pick. So that's it for this episode of the Homeland Garden Show. In the next episode, I'll be showing you some products that will help you get started in sowing your own seeds for planting around the garden.